Hey guys, welcome back to the video. So basically this is Building SouthLake episode 30. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about, mainly because of how crappy my week has been with a lot of technical stuff. And I did lose one episode of SouthLake, which we actually did start working on the stadium, which by the title you guys might have guessed what we're working on. So the stadium is already started, and mainly because, like I said, we lost a video, which kind of it was kind of me starting it. And basically here's what I have now. I can tell it's right across the river, right next to the yacht that I made off camera quite a long time ago, maybe a month or two ago. So basically, the reason I made it here in between the two bridges was mainly because of space. We need at least 250 blocks, if not more, for space. Now, in the actual city area, that kind of space was really hard to come by. And so I kind of decided, hey, why not put it in between the two bridges? And it kind of worked out perfectly because, you know, by the time we're all done with the actual shell of the stadium, it might be perfect fit between these two bridges. I said fit like 3 times there. But yeah, let me show you around from what's been done. So first of all, basically, the overall stadium here. One of my favorite features, though, is usually in baseball, when a team hits a home run, usually the home team, there's fireworks. So, of course, I added fireworks. If I press that, we can see the fireworks go up. And there they go. There's a tiny delay so we can have time to look at them. So basically, we're just going to kind of continue working on the stadium today and try to hopefully finish it up, because I do want to show you guys basically like the setup. I have been thinking about making a tutorial for a stadium, which would take quite a bit of time. It wouldn't be as much detail as this, obviously, because this alone has taken me over probably 5 to 6 hours and still going, because it's not even halfway done. It might look like it's halfway done, but you have to think there's also the outside shell, all the floors that you have to add inside the actual stadium as well. So there's a lot of like small things that kind of add up to take a lot of time. And the main thing that's going to take up the most time for me is probably going to be the outer shell of the building, because I want it to look good, especially being right next to the river. I want it to really appeal from the other side of the river as well. So I have a lot of stuff, I'm going to have to work out and think of, but I think if I look off of the St. Louis Cardinals Busch Stadium, because I'm kind of going off that a little bit for design because it's my hometown, and so I might go off some of that design because I do like how it looks. It's kind of like that modern feel, but also like with the brick, it kind of give it an older feel as well. It's like perfectly in between, so I'm going to try to kind of go off that a little bit, but at the same time not get too close to that certain design, because I don't want to limit myself to like a certain design, because then it's not going to turn out the way I want it to. So there's a lot of like small stuff that I'll probably be pretty picky about. But anyways, I mentioned earlier that my week has basically been hell, and let me tell you guys why. It's basically been hell because of the fact that just nothing worked this week. And what I mean by that is my original recording computer basically failed this week, and that was just step 1 and something that was just horrible. Because basically like what happened was the hard drive failed, which, as you guys know, if a hard drive fails, it's a pretty major, disaster. I actually got lucky that I got a lot of my videos back, which I was actually really surprised by that. Luckily, my mom, who's a what are they called, a IT person, kind of helped me out, and we got basically 90% of my stuff back, which is fantastic. The only thing we didn't get back was, when I was looking back on it, was SouthLake, which I'm not sure where that went, because I figured, hey, I'll have everything else besides SouthLake, or I'll have everything including SouthLake, and I didn't have that for some reason. I have no idea where that audio file and video went, so I'm kind of confused by that. But other than that, we got all the videos back. The main thing I wanted to get was house number 10 of season 1. I wanted to get all those files back, because that's 5 parts right there that would easily taking over an hour of time, and trying to remake the house again, it wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't, because the house basically turned out perfect in my opinion. Only problem was when actually editing the videos was I found out there was frame droppage, which really sucks, but luckily it wasn't that big of a deal. I found a way to get around it, so the videos do kind of skip around a little bit. But as for keeping everything and showing you guys everything that you need to see, I think it didn't really matter too much. episode 1 of the house is kind of, jumpy because I didn't realize the frame droppage until the video was uploaded and I started seeing comments. But in the second one, I just found out that my Elgato was dropping frames. And looking back on it now, it was probably the hard drive that I was recording to. Because if that was failing, then it was probably trying to struggle to stay alive, if you want to put it that way. And so the hard drive was basically just struggling, which probably caused the frame droppage. Because usually my Elgato never drops frames. That's the first time it's ever dropped frames for me. So I'm not going to be upset about it because it hardly ever happens. But the main stress of this week was my computer failing. But luckily I do have a backup computer, which not everybody does have one of those. So I am very fortunate for that. Because now I can actually record that instead. And then when I move back home with my parents, I'm probably going to build my own computer from scratch, which that will cost quite a bit of money, especially the kind of PC I want to make. Because it wouldn't be for gaming, it would be for editing. So it had to be very fast, it had to have a lot of memory for recording. So I'm probably looking over $1,000 for just a computer alone. So that's going to be pretty costly. But in the long run, I think it'll be worth it. It's something my mom and I have talked about doing for a long time. Just because my mom, again, being an IT person, she loves computers just as much as me. And so usually when I do have a problem, she's always there to help me fix it. And yeah, so she's probably the main reason why I got everything back. Brought my computer over to her house, or my parents' house. And yeah, like I said, very luckily that I got everything taken care of. Besides SouthLake episode 30, which is actually episode 30 now, but let's see, how are we looking? We still have quite a bit more to do because I want to make this top deck pretty tall. As you can see, we only have this much done. It wraps all the way around the stadium, but we need to go all the way up to here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more layers that we have to add, if not more. So I have my work cut out for me. But one of the coolest things I like is, if you notice, I'm not having any of these stands wrap fully around the stadium. Now, the reason for that is, since it is across the river, I didn't want to make it to where you could actually see the city. So I left this gap here, and now you can see the bridge in the background. Turn sideways, you can see some of the buildings. Which, that's actually one of the really weird things about Minecraft on the Xbox, is if I look straight at it, you can barely see, any of the buildings. You can see an outline, but not too much. But if I turn sideways like this, you can see them a lot more clear. And yeah, I'm not sure why it does that. That's really weird. You think it would be the other way around, but hey, I have no idea. So no idea. It's just one of those weird things that I ran into that I noticed one day. Let's see, what else could we talk about for this episode, because we're only 8 minutes in, so we still have plenty of time. So we did kind of talk about the stadium. Now, one of the things I was discussing in the last episode that didn't come out because I lost it, like I said, was the fact that why am I building a baseball stadium instead of, a soccer or football stadium for that matter. And those are usually some of the most popular stadiums you see on cities, especially in Minecraft. And there's a pretty simple reason for it, because with those, the stands are pretty easy to make. They're pretty, straight line and forward. But with a baseball stadium, you have a lot more curves to a seating arrangement. And so that does make making the stands a little bit harder. Now, I'm using stone and stone brick stairs for the seating. I did do a live stream last week, I think. Don't quote me on that. I think it was last week, though, of me working on a stadium just for the live stream. And the whole point was to kind of figure out a good design for the seatings, how I want it to look for SouthLake. Because I didn't want to just come onto SouthLake and then regret, like, oh, well, this stadium looks like crap. So I kind of made like a test one first to see if it would look good. Now in that one I used wooden seats, which it didn't look bad, at least in my opinion, but I think the stone seats do look a little bit better. They also feel more realistic for a baseball stadium, at least from what I've seen. If I could add more color to these, I would. I really wish they would make like stained clay stairs. That'd be really awesome, because then I can make this a lot more colorful. And another thing I'm not really sure about is, originally I wasn't sure what kind of color I wanted to use for the stadium. Ooh, I wonder what the fireworks look like at night. I haven't tested that out yet. Let's hit it. Let's see. Fly over here. And do... Actually looks really cool. I like that a lot. What was I talking about? Completely lost my track of thought there. But yeah, so the reason I'm deciding to build a stadium is because I like baseball, and again, you don't usually see too many baseball stadiums in a Minecraft world, or a city just in general. So I kind of figured it'd be a little bit more of a challenge. It would be, really cool to have. And I'm also considering adding more than just one stadium into the city itself to kind of make it feel like it's more alive. You have more than one sports team playing. Well, yeah, the other thing I was talking about, kind of jumping around here, was I wasn't sure what color I wanted the stadium to be, like also with the team, about the name. There's a lot of like small stuff like that I had to think of. Now, I went with dark green, mainly because it looks pretty good, in my opinion. It's kind of like that perfect balance of not being too bright, but at the same time not being too dull. So I think the green's like that perfect color for everything. But I feel like the actual home team, I wanted to make it red for the St. Louis Cardinals, but after having the stadium being this green, I don't think that's really possible or realistic, having the color be red. Because basically I would have to go in and add everything to be red, basically, besides, the stands and all that. Which would take a long time, unless I world edit, which unfortunately I can't use yet on Xbox One, which I really hope they bring world edit over to Xbox One. So stuff like this, if I do want to change something, goes by so much faster. Because then you can kind of like say, okay, well, I don't like how this looks, but let's see how it looks with this color. And you can change all of it in the span of, 30 seconds, if not like 10 seconds. So that'd be nice to have on console, but the likelihood of us getting that is slim to none because of, using controllers is a lot harder to work with than using a keyboard and mouse. Because on a controller, you have a lot less buttons and keys you have to press. So things are a little bit harder for 4J when it comes to that matter. But do I think we are going to get mods in the future? I do think so. I would be really happy if we actually do get mods. Like, not even just like big mods, even just like start off with the smaller ones. Like, for example, World Edit, some of the sports mods would be really fun to have. I'm trying to think of some of the other mods that there are on PC, because there are a lot of them that you could bring over probably, but I'm not sure like how that would work with everything else. So again, maybe one day we can finally work up to getting mods, but unfortunately I don't see that happening anytime soon, unless Microsoft finds a way to make that happen. So let's see, what else could we talk about while we're building this? It's kind of boring, really, because it's basically just me doing the exact same thing over and over again. And I was debating after I found out I lost the original episode 30 about, should I just really complete the stadium and then show it in the next part? Like, not fully complete it, but like work on the outside shell of the building, but finish the interior. I was like, no, might as well show, most of it, because you can kind of see, if I show you a little bit, how you can make one by yourself. Because the actual field itself, it might look complicated to you, but in all honesty, it's not that complicated. I mean, it's basically just me using brown carpet, which that might be another thing I want to talk about, is some people, I've seen baseball stadiums in the past, they use usually either like sand or dirt and things like that, or just brown wool put into the ground. Now here's the reason why I used carpet instead of, building it into the field itself. And the reason was I wanted to add signs right here going down the line, because basically every single stadium, or yeah, every single baseball field or stadium I've seen, they have just a solid snow line going all the way down, which it doesn't look bad, but I feel like this looks a little bit more realistic. And basically, if you do want to know how to do this, it's really simple. All you need is a sign and carpet, and basically you clear out a line, put the sign underneath, and then the carpet on top of it. So it's really simple, but it gives it that better feel, and also I feel like it makes it more realistic. The only downside is you can't see them from far away, which is the only bad thing. But from my experience, it is a lot more realistic. It looks better because you don't have that thick line just staring you in the eyes with its brightness. So that's the main reason why I made it into the ground with carpet, and also it's just a little bit easier to work with. Because if I did mess up, all I would have to do is put water down and it would get rid of all the carpet. So really easy to get rid of. Also made things easier for the bases. which I've seen a lot of bases use like pressure plate, stuff like that. But all I did was stack up snow twice, and it actually looks like the actual size of a base. So it looks perfect in my opinion. It looks, you know, realistic size. I didn't make the stadium like as big as some people's, because I feel like this looked pretty well proportioned to how it would look in real life. And so I think it's pretty well proportioned to everything. So my words. If I make it too big, it wouldn't look right with the city. And I feel like I kind of hit the nail on the head here. It's perfectly in between, like being too small, but you know, also being big enough to where it looks realistic. So I'm pretty happy with how big it is, but we still have a lot more work to get into and just small details that will add up. So let's continue working on the stand here. So I'm not sure how much longer we are going to be recording this, but we will go on for quite a bit longer. So let's continue this. Boop. Yeah, but I almost lost season 1 house 10, which if you guys haven't been keeping up with the house series, basically we're on the very last house of the series, house number 10, which is what I'm calling it, a mini mansion, because of just the design of it and how it looks. It's not the full size of a mansion you might used to me making, but at the same time it's not, you know, too small either. So I decided to call it a mini mansion because, you know, it's perfect size. How many diagonals are there? My goodness. There we go. So I just need to get rid of all the excess ones here. Boop, boop. How many more do we have to go? And are we good? Look good. And so I almost lost all 5 parts, which would have been devastating because, like I said earlier, trying to replicate that house again, basically just making 10 parts for it when I already had the 5. And the 5 isn't even the full house. There's still going to be more parts because of the fact that I have to finish up the inside. All the 5 parts only go towards the outside. None of those 5 parts go anywhere near the inside of the house yet. So there's still a lot more work to be done on it, which I'm excited to do the interior, but at the same time, since I like the exterior so much, I don't want to ruin the interior too much, just because I am absolute crap at interior. So, you know, I'm still going to do the interior for the people that want it, but I feel like it's not going to be up to the par for how I think it should look. So maybe I really should get better at interior. I've been trying, I've gotten a lot better at it over the years, which isn't saying much because I started off like crap. But I have gotten a little bit better, found some new designs and things like that. But at the same time, I'm nowhere near to where I need to be. So that's probably the main thing I need to work on the most. Also medieval style. I don't know how to build medieval style at all. Never have, so that's definitely another thing I'm going to have to work on. And turn this one here. Oh, we still have so many more layers to go up. You might be asking like, well, why make the top layer so big compared to like the middle level and things like that? So one of the main things is you might notice there's a pretty big gap difference between the first set of stands here and the second stands here. And basically the reason for that is these are box seats, and usually box seats take up less space vertically. And so I kind of had to figure out what I wanted to do for that. So when the stadium's done, I want this to be like a restaurant. So you can still watch the game and still be at the game, but you can have dinner as well. And then I want to make these the box seats. Now, I was debating like, were the box seats big enough for the actual stadium itself? And again, I think they are, because I didn't want to make them too big, because then I couldn't get too many in. So I feel like making it 3 wide was perfect, because then you can get 2 seats on the balcony here watching the game. So I think the 3 wide kind of, again, hit the nail on the head for size of everything. Because now you do have quite a bit. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 just on one side. So I think that's a pretty good amount. And then you have the commentators box right here looking at everything. So I think we kind of took care of everything. That was probably the hardest part of the entire stadium, was, you know, what to do with the excess area, because, you know, these box seats can't go all the way around, and that's the hard part, is what do you do with the excess space? So I decided to make it like a small little area for seating, so you only have 2 rows instead of like, you know, the 6 to 7. which I think is still fine, and that's kind of why I'm compensating for it up here. That's why I'm making this one a little bit taller. Also because that's how it is in actual stadiums as well. So I'm probably going to finish this up by next part. And next part, we're probably going to work on the exterior of the building, which is going to take some time. I'll have to figure out a design I want to use for that. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been talking pretty fast this entire episode. No idea why. I haven't had a soda in a while, so that definitely shouldn't be it. So bye-bye, guys. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to all you guys later. Bye-bye.